The snow crunched under Taehyun's boots as he walked toward the colony. 2 weeks away from home felt like forever. He carried samples in his pack, rock specimens from the northern ice fields. His job was simple: survey the land, mark safe zones, find resources. The colony of Frosthaven needed to know what lay beyond their protective dome, but something felt wrong. The radio had gone silent 3 days ago. Da-eun always checked in. She was their communications officer, never missed a schedule. Tae-hyun told himself the storm probably damaged the relay towers. Storms on this ice planet could tear metal apart. He climbed the last ridge. The colony spread below him in the twilight. Frosthaven sat in a valley, protected from the worst winds. The main dome should have glowed with lights, warmth, life. Instead, darkness greeted him. Smoke rose from several buildings. Taehyun ran. His heart pounded. Ice cracked beneath his feet as he sprinted down the slope. Please let them be okay. Please let Ji-young and So-ra be safe. His wife and daughter were everything to him. The colony gate hung open. Blast marks scorched the metal. Not regular fire. Plasma burns. Taehyun knew weapons. He had served in the Korean Special Forces before joining the Colonial Survey Team. These burns came from military-grade alien weapons. Bodies lay in the street. His neighbors, his friends, people he ate breakfast with just 2 weeks ago. Men, women, children, all dead, shot down like animals, no mercy shown. Taehyun forced himself to move, to check, to hope. He ran to his family quarters. The door was destroyed. Inside, furniture overturned. Pictures broken on the floor. His daughter's toys scattered everywhere. Blood on the walls. But no bodies. Maybe they escaped. Maybe they hid. Taehyun searched every room in the building. Every closet, every storage space. Nothing. He found more bodies, more death, but not his family. Hours passed. The sun never really rose on Frosthaven. Just endless twilight. Taehyun moved through the colony like a ghost. He counted bodies. 824 people lived here. He found maybe 200 corpses. Where were the others? Then he found the cameras. Small devices mounted on poles throughout the colony. Not human technology. Alien equipment. Recording devices. Trophy cameras. Taehyun's blood went cold. He knew what this meant. A hunt. This was a hunt. His hands shook as he accessed one camera's memory. The footage made him sick. Aliens in armor. Large reptilian creatures with plasma weapons. They moved through the colony, shooting everything that moved. Laughing, treating it like sport. People ran, screamed, begged. The aliens killed them anyway. Some humans fought back with tools and mining equipment. It made no difference. The aliens had shields and armor. They toyed with the defenders before killing them. The footage showed the aliens taking bodies, loading them onto ships, trophies. The missing people weren't hiding. They were prizes now. Decorations for some alien's wall. Taehyun fell to his knees in the snow. Ji-young, So-ra, gone, taken or killed. He wanted to scream, to cry, to give up, but something else burned inside him, something hot and fierce. Rage. A sound startled him. Movement from the research building. Taehyun pulled his survival knife and approached carefully. The building looked intact. He entered through a side door. Inside, he heard voices. Human voices. He followed the sound to a hidden stairwell, down into the emergency bunker that few people knew about. At the bottom, a security door. He knocked the pattern they had established for emergencies. The door opened. Da-eun stood there, weapon raised. When she saw him, tears filled her eyes. Behind her, 22 other people huddled in the small space. Survivors. They told him everything. The aliens arrived without warning. Fast attack ships. They disabled communications first. Then they started hunting. Some people made it to the bunker. Most didn't. The aliens spent 6 hours killing everyone they could find. Then they left. Took the bodies. Left the colony destroyed. Da-eun showed Taehyun something else. She had intercepted alien transmissions. Her communications equipment still worked on backup power. The messages revealed the truth. This was organized. A hunting company. They bribed Galactic Council officials to declare Frost Haven unmonitored. A free hunting zone. Humans were the new exotic prey. Weak. Primitive. Perfect targets for wealthy aliens who wanted exciting hunts. The company advertised Earth colonists as premium sport. No weapons, no armor, just soft targets that screamed nicely. The transmission said more. The hunters were coming back. 3 days. They wanted to hunt the survivors. Make it last longer this time. More entertainment for their paying customers across the galaxy. The survivors wanted to run, to hide in the mountains, to call for help from Earth. But Earth was months away. No help would arrive in time. Running meant slow death from cold and starvation. Taehyun said no. They weren't running. He had another plan. The others thought he was crazy. Fight back? Against aliens with advanced weapons? Impossible. Suicide. But Taehyun knew something they didn't. These aliens thought humans were prey. Weak prey. They expected fear and running. They didn't understand what humans really were. Taehyun explained his plan. Most survivors would go to a hidden shelter in the northern mountains. Hyunwoo, the colony doctor, would lead them. They had supplies there, enough to last months if needed, but Taehyun would stay. Da-eun would stay too, hidden in the bunker with her communications gear. Together they would prepare a welcome for the returning hunters. The next 3 days became a blur of work. Taehyun studied everything about the aliens, their biology, their weapons, their tactics. He watched the hunt footage over and over, learning their patterns. These creatures were strong, but they relied on their technology. They moved in predictable patterns. They expected prey to run, so they didn't watch for ambushes. They thought themselves invincible. Taehyun turned the colony into a trap. He rigged explosives in key buildings using mining charges. He created false trails and hiding spots. He weaponized everything he could find. The ice itself became a tool. This planet killed through cold. He would use that. On the 3rd day, alien ships appeared in orbit. 12 hunters came down. Taehyun watched from hiding as they landed, big creatures in fancy armor, carrying weapons worth more than entire colonial settlements. They laughed and joked as they disembarked. The leader was massive. Vrex, they called him. He activated the colony's speaker system and announced himself. The Great Hunter, undefeated across 40 worlds. He promised the remaining humans a sporting chance if they revealed themselves. Lies. Taehyun knew lies when he heard them. The hunters spread out to search. They expected to find people hiding in terror. Instead, they found an empty colony. Confused, they regrouped at the main square. That's when Taehyun triggered the first explosive. The building next to them collapsed. Not enough to kill, just enough to get their attention. Dust and debris filled the air. The hunters scrambled for cover. Vrex's voice boomed across the colony. He was pleased. Finally, some challenge. Some sport. He ordered his hunters to find the human playing these games. Taehyun watched them from his hidden position. He chambered a round in his rifle. A simple weapon. Chemical projectiles. Primitive by alien standards, but effective against flesh. Vrex laughed into the cold air. He announced that the hunt was on. The prey had shown spirit. This would be memorable. Taehyun whispered to himself in the darkness. Words only he could hear. Words that carried all his pain and rage and determination. Wrong. The hunt is over. You just don't know you're already dead. The first hunter died quickly. Too quickly. Gorthak was his name. The big one with green scales and regenerative abilities. His species could heal from almost any wound. Almost. Taehyun watched through his scope as Gorthak separated from the group. The alien was confident, arrogant. He kicked through doors and destroyed furniture looking for hiding humans. His thermal scanner swept the area, searching for heat signatures. But Taehyun wasn't hiding in buildings. He was outside, buried in snow, his heat signature masked by thermal blankets. The ice was his friend. The cold his ally. He waited as Gorthak moved into position. The alien stepped exactly where Taehyun needed him. Over a weak point in the ice. Below it, a pocket of methane gas. Natural. Deadly. Taehyun had mapped these pockets during his survey work. He knew every dangerous spot on this planet. One shot. The bullet ignited the gas. The explosion was massive. Fire and ice mixed together. When the smoke cleared, Gorthak was gone, scattered across a crater 50 feet wide. Regeneration didn't help when there was nothing left to regenerate. The other hunters heard the explosion. They rushed to the site. Taehyun was already gone, moving through hidden tunnels under the colony. Dayun's voice came through his earpiece. They're confused, arguing. Vrex is angry. He's calling Gorthak stupid for walking into a trap. Good. Let them argue.
Scared people made mistakes. The next two hunters died together.
Brothers, maybe. They looked similar. Both had insect-like features and thermal vision. They thought they could track Taehyun by his heat. They were wrong. He led them to the ice caves, deep caverns that humans had marked as dangerous. The walls were beautiful, glowing blue in the dim light, but the temperature inside was lethal. 60 below zero, maybe colder in the deep parts. Taehyun left a trail, obvious footprints, a piece of torn cloth. The hunters followed eagerly. They thought they had him cornered. They entered the caves with weapons ready. Taehyun waited at the second entrance. When both aliens were deep inside, he sealed the main entrance with explosives. Then he flooded the cave with supercooled liquid from a storage tank. The liquid was used for colony refrigeration. It flash froze anything it touched. The two hunters tried to run. The liquid caught them. Their environmental suits protected them for maybe 10 seconds. Then the cold penetrated. They froze mid-step. Statues of ice. Forever trapped in their last moment of life. 3 down, 9 to go. Vrex called a meeting. The remaining hunters gathered in what used to be the colony mess hall. Taehyun listened through hidden microphones. Dayun fed him their conversation. The aliens were scared now. They didn't say it directly, but Taehyun heard it in their voices. Uncertainty. Doubt. These creatures had hunted prey across dozens of worlds. But prey didn't fight back like this. Prey didn't set traps. Prey didn't study and plan and execute. Vrex ordered them to stay together. No more splitting up. They would move as a group. Safety in numbers. It was a smart decision. But it was also too late. Dayun was brilliant. She hacked their communication systems. Started sending false messages, fake coordinates, contradictory orders. The hunters heard Vrex's voice telling them to split up and check different sectors. They didn't know it was Dayun manipulating their radios. 4 hunters went east. 3 went west. 2 stayed with Vrex. Perfect. Taehyun took the eastern group first. They moved through the old warehouse district. Big buildings. Lots of shadows. Good hunting ground. For him, he had prepared this area carefully. Thin ice on the roofs. Weighted supports ready to collapse. Tripwires connected to plasma charges stolen from dead aliens. The whole district was a death trap. The first alien died when a roof collapsed on him. 2 tons of ice and metal. His armor couldn't handle it. The other 3 scattered, but that was the point. Separate them. Make them panic. The second alien ran into a building for cover. Taehyun had rigged it with the creature's own plasma charges. Remote detonation. The building exploded. The alien inside never had a chance. 2 remained from the eastern group. They tried to call Vrex. Dayun jammed their signals. Now they were alone, isolated, scared. Taehyun hunted them through the buildings. Real hunting. Tracking. Patience. He moved silently. Used the wind to mask his sound. Stayed downwind so their sensors couldn't smell him. All the skills from his training. All the lessons from Earth's greatest hunters. He caught the first one at a window. Single shot to the head. The alien's shields were designed for energy weapons. A simple bullet went right through. The creature dropped without a sound. The last one from the eastern group heard the shot. Started running. Panic took over. He ran without thinking, just trying to get away. He triggered 3 separate traps in his flight. Spikes, nets, finally a pit. He fell 30 feet onto frozen spikes below. 7 down, 5 to go. The western group fared no better. Dayun directed them into the industrial sector. Lots of machinery. Heavy equipment. Taehyun met them there. He activated the old mining equipment. Massive drills and haulers. They weren't designed as weapons, but anything could be a weapon if you used it right. The machines moved on automatic, following their programmed routes. The three hunters tried to navigate through the moving machinery. It was like a deadly maze. One alien got caught between two haulers. The machines didn't stop. They just kept moving. The alien's armor crumpled like paper. The other two made it through, but they were rattled. Their perfect armor was dented, their confidence shattered. They knew now that they weren't hunters anymore. They were prey. Tae-hyun picked them off from long range. 2 shots, 2 kills. His rifle wasn't fancy, but it worked. And he knew how to use it, 10 down. 2 left plus Vrex. Vrex finally understood. This wasn't a hunt anymore. It was survival. He called his ship, demanded immediate extraction. The pilot refused at first. Contract obligations. They had paid for a 3-day hunt. They needed to fulfill the contract. Vrex offered triple payment. The pilot agreed, but there was a problem. An ice storm was coming, a big one. The ship couldn't land during the storm. Too dangerous. They would have to wait 48 hours, 2 days. Vrex and his 2 remaining hunters had to survive 2 days against a human who had killed 10 trained warriors. One of the remaining hunters was Silith, the tracker, the best in Vrex's crew, insectoid, patient, smart. Silith had been watching, learning. While the others died, Silith studied the pattern. Silith realized something the others hadn't. The human wasn't running randomly. Every kill had purpose. Every move was calculated. The human was hurting them, controlling the battle. This wasn't luck, it was skill. Silith decided to act alone, to prove that it could succeed where others failed. It told Vrex it needed to scout, to find safe shelter from the storm. Vrex agreed. Silith was good, very good. It tracked Tae-hyun's movements through the colony, found his hideouts, his supply caches, his escape routes. Finally, it found his camp, the place where he slept and planned. The camp was empty, but Silith studied it anyway, saw the maps, the notes, the careful planning. Every death had been marked. Every trap documented. This human was a soldier, a warrior, not prey at all. Silith made a recording, a message to send back to its people, a warning. Humans were not what they seemed. They were dangerous. Apex predators pretending to be weak. The galaxy needed to know. The tracker spoke into its device. Subject demonstrates advanced tactical cognition and environmental mastery. Recommend immediate classification upgrade to Apex level threat. Then Silith saw something in the reflection of its visor. A figure standing behind it. The human. He had been there the whole time. Waiting. Silith turned. Tried to raise its weapon, too slow. Tae-hyun moved like lightning. His knife was in his hand. One precise strike. Silith fell. Tae-hyun looked at the dying alien. There was no joy in the kill. No satisfaction. Just necessity. He took Silith's recording device. The warning would be useful later. Then he did something that would haunt the remaining hunters. He positioned Silith's body carefully, froze it in place, made it look like the tracker was still hunting, still moving, a frozen hunter forever stalking prey it would never catch. When Vrex and the last hunter found Silith, they screamed. Not from fear, from understanding. They finally knew the truth. They weren't fighting a weak human. They were fighting something that had learned to survive on a planet where everything wanted to kill it. A creature that turned every disadvantage into a weapon. A predator that hunted predators. The storm was coming. 48 hours until extraction. Vrex and his last hunter huddled together in a fortified building. They had all their equipment, all their weapons, all their training, but they knew it wouldn't be enough. Outside in the darkness, Tae-hyun waited, patient, relentless, like winter itself. The storm hit like a wall. Wind screamed across the ice at 200 miles per hour. Snow so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. The temperature dropped to 80 below zero. Frosthaven disappeared under white fury. Vrex and his last hunter, whose name was Krath, sheltered in the old administration building. They had sealed the doors, set up defensive positions. Their armor kept them warm, but they could hear the storm trying to tear the building apart. Krath was young. This was his first major hunt. He had been so excited 3 days ago. Now he just wanted to go home. He kept checking the time. 46 hours until extraction. 45-44. Vrex made a decision. He activated his emergency transmitter, sent a message to the Galactic Council. claimed that a human terrorist was attacking their legitimate hunting expedition. He demanded military intervention, protection, rescue. The message went out across the galaxy, reached the council headquarters. Ambassador Kelthera received it. She was an avian species, tall, elegant. She had dismissed human complaints before. They were a new species, weak. Not important in galactic politics, but the message from Vrex was concerning. A human attacking trained hunters? That seemed impossible. She accessed the trophy cameras. The recordings from the initial hunt. What she saw made her blood run cold. Not a hunt, a massacre. Humans gunned down in the streets. Children taken. Families destroyed. All for entertainment. And the council had allowed it. They had accepted bribes. Looked the other way. Let these hunters kill hundreds of innocent people. Kelthera felt sick. This wasn't defense. This was murder. And now one human was fighting back. Could she blame him? Meanwhile, in the frozen wasteland outside, someone else had been surviving. A young woman named Minji. She was 19, an engineering student. She had been camping in the far wilderness during the first attack. Testing equipment. Recording data. When she returned and found the colony destroyed, she hid. Watched. Learned. She saw Taehyun's work. Saw the traps? The tactics. She understood what he was doing. And she had her own skills. Minji had built her own trap system in the southern sector. Motion sensors. Pressure plates. Remote explosives. She wasn't a soldier like Taehyun, but she was smart, creative. She could help. During a brief lull in the storm, she found Taehyun. He was surprised. He thought he was the only one left. She showed him her traps, her equipment. Her recordings of the aliens. Taehyun looked at this young woman. So young, almost the age his daughter would have been, but strong, capable, a survivor. Together, they planned. Taehyun provided intelligence from her bunker. Hyunwoo, the doctor in the northern shelter, sent information about alien biology, things they had learned from the dead hunters, weaknesses they could exploit. The most important discovery came from Hyunwoo. He had studied the native bacteria, the microscopic life in Frosthaven's soil and ice. Most of it was harmless to humans. But one particular strain was devastating to certain alien species. It caused internal bleeding, organ failure, death in days. Taehyun confirmed that the remaining alien species were vulnerable. She hacked their medical records. Cross-referenced with human research, the bacteria would kill them. All they needed was to introduce it into the alien systems. Minji had an idea. The aliens needed water. Their suits had recycling systems, but they still needed to replenish. There was only one water source nearby, the underground reservoir that fed the colony. Taehyun and Minji went to the reservoir during the storm. The wind tried to tear them apart. The cold burned through their suits, but they made it. They contaminated the water with the bacteria. A lot of it. 20 hours later, when the storm finally died down, Vrex and Krath were thirsty, desperate. Their water had run out. The reservoir was close, safe. They went together, weapons ready. They found the reservoir intact. Clear water. They filled their containers, drank deeply, felt better. They returned to their shelter satisfied. 6 hours later, Krath started bleeding from his nose, his mouth, his eyes. He didn't understand. His armor's medical system couldn't identify the problem. Vrex tried to help, tried to stop the bleeding. Nothing worked. Krath died screaming. Vrex held him, the great hunter, the undefeated warrior. He held his young soldier and watched him die in agony. Then Vrex felt it. A trickle from his own nose. The first sign. He was infected too. Panic took over. Vrex abandoned the shelter, ran through the colony. He had 18 hours until extraction. He just needed to survive 18 more hours. He could do it. He had to do it, but the sickness was getting worse. His body was failing. The bacteria multiplied inside him. His own blood was killing him. In desperation, Vrex did something unthinkable. He went to the main dome, the colony's largest building. He still had explosives, a lot of them. He rigged the entire structure. Then he sent a message, broadcasting to the human he knew was watching. Surrender, human. Face me, or I destroy everything. Your colony, your history, your home, all of it gone. You have 1 hour. Taehyun received the message. He stood in the snow looking at the dome. Inside were the colony records. The cultural database, pictures, videos, memories. 824 lives documented. Their legacy. Taehyun's voice came through his earpiece. Don't worry. I've been backing everything up. Sending it to Earth, to other colonies. It's safe. The data is preserved. But Taehyun knew this wasn't just about data. This was about making a statement. The galaxy was watching. Taehyun had been broadcasting everything. Every fight. Every trap. Every alien death. Millions of people across dozens of worlds were seeing what one human could do. He entered the dome. Walked calmly through the main entrance. Vrex waited in the center. The alien looked terrible. Blood stained his armor. He swayed on his feet. Dying. But still dangerous. Vrex raised his weapon. Finally, the human, face to face. But Taehyun didn't raise his weapon. He just looked at the alien, calm, steady. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous? Taehyun said. His voice was quiet but clear. Taehyun made sure it broadcast across the galaxy. We're not the strongest, not the fastest, not the smartest. But we survived on a planet that tried to kill us every day. We learned to adapt, to use tools, to turn our environment into a weapon. We learned patience, persistence. We learned that sometimes the prey needs to become the predator. That's what makes us dangerous. We never give up, Rex laughed. A wet, painful sound. Then attack me, human, kill me. End this. Taehyun shook his head. You're already dead. The bacteria in your system will kill you in hours. But I want you to understand something first. You came here thinking we were prey, easy targets. You were wrong. And now the galaxy knows it, Rex roared, charged plasma blades extended. He was fast. Even dying, he was dangerous, but Taehyun was faster. Not physically, mentally. He had planned for this, prepared. Minji triggered the trap from outside. The dome's roof. Thousands of tons of ice, carefully weakened. Ready to fall, the ice came down. Not Vrex's explosives. Something better. Something fitting. The planet itself became the weapon. Taehyun dove for the side exit, made it through just as the dome collapsed. Behind him, Vrex disappeared under the avalanche, buried, trapped, still alive but contained. Taehyun and Minji ran. Got clear. Watched the dome become a tomb. The broadcast continued. The galaxy watched a human walk away from the frozen grave of aliens who thought they were apex predators. Dayun's voice crackled through the radio. Taehyun, you need to see this. The council just issued a galaxy-wide alert. They're calling you something in their language, what? Roughly translated, the one who teaches predators to fear. Taehyun looked up at the sky. Ships were coming. He could see their lights descending through the atmosphere. Not the extraction ship for Vrex, something else. Something bigger. The galaxy was reacting. Some with fear. Some with anger. Some with respect. Military analysts across civilizations were watching the footage. Studying it. Revising their assessment of humanity. One human. One planet. 12 dead hunters. The message was clear. Humans weren't prey. They were survivors. Fighters. Something new and dangerous in the galactic community. But the story wasn't over. Under the ice in the collapsed dome, Vrex still breathed. Barely. His emergency beacon activated. Not the extraction ship. Something else. His last transmission went to the Kresh homeworld. The message was simple. Revenge. War. The humans had killed Kresh hunters. This could not stand. The homeworld defense fleet prepared to launch. Dozens of warships. Hundreds of soldiers, they were coming to Frosthaven. Coming to teach humanity a lesson. Coming to show these weak creatures what real power looked like. But as Taehyun stood in the snow watching the ships descend, he didn't feel fear. He felt determination. Let them come. Let the whole galaxy come. Frosthaven was his home. These people were his family now. He would protect them. And if the galaxy needed another lesson about humanity, he would teach it, one predator at a time. The ships that descended weren't what Taehyun expected. They weren't military vessels. They were smaller, civilian designs. 3 of them. They landed outside the colony ruins, their engines kicking up clouds of snow. Ambassador Kelthera emerged from the lead ship. She walked carefully through the frozen colony, her avian features sharp in the cold air. Behind her came supplies, food, medical equipment, construction materials, not weapons, not soldiers, help. Taehyun met her at the colony gate. He kept his rifle ready, trusted no one anymore, but Kelthera came alone, her hands visible and empty. She looked at the destroyed buildings, the blood in the snow, the frozen bodies still waiting for burial. I watched the recordings, she said quietly. All of them. What they did to your people, I am ashamed. The council is ashamed. We should have protected you. Tae-hyun said nothing. Words wouldn't bring back the dead, Kelthera continued. I brought supplies, 6 months' worth. But I need to tell you something else. The Kresh cartel issued a revenge contract. Dozens of hunters are coming. Not for sport this time. For extermination? They will be here in 72 hours. How many? Tae-hyun asked. 50, maybe more. Professional soldiers. Not trophy hunters. They're coming to kill every human on this planet. Tae-hyun absorbed this. 50 trained warriors. His traps and tactics worked against 12 hunters who expected easy prey. But 50 soldiers who knew he was dangerous? Different situation. My ship can take 20 people, Kelthera offered. The survivors, the children, they can evacuate. Go somewhere safe, Tae-hyun called a meeting. All 23 survivors gathered in the bunker. Hyun-woo and his group returned from the northern shelter. They looked at the supplies, at the ambassador, at Tae-hyun, waiting for him to decide. But Tae-hyun wouldn't decide for them. This was their home too. Their choice. He explained the situation. The coming attack. The chance to evacuate. Then he asked them to vote. The vote was unanimous. They would stay, fight. Frost Haven was their home. They had already lost too much. They wouldn't lose their home too. Kelthera was surprised, confused. Why stay? Why die for a frozen rock at the edge of the galaxy? Because it's ours, Minji said simply. Because 824 people died here. Because if we run, they win. Because someone needs to show the galaxy that humans don't break. The ambassador looked at these humans, young and old, scared but determined. She saw something in them that she hadn't expected. Courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Then I will help you, Kelthera decided. Against council orders. Against all protocol. But it's the right thing to do. The next 3 days were organized chaos. They couldn't defeat 50 soldiers head-on. But they didn't need to. They just needed to make the cost too high. Make the hunters give up. Make them understand that killing humans wasn't worth the price. Diane worked her magic with the alien computer systems. She hacked the cartel's database. Found everything. Locations of their bases. Names of their clients. Records of thousands of illegal hunts. Financial transactions. Bribes paid to council officials. She compiled it all into one massive file. Minji proposed something radical. Don't just defend. Attack first. Use Kelthera's ship to strike the incoming fleet before they reached orbit. Sabotage their vessels. Steal their intelligence. It was insane, suicidal, but it might work. Kelthera's ship had diplomatic credentials. The cartel fleet would let them approach. Get close. Then Tae-hyun and a small team could board the flagship. To maximum damage. Escape before they realized what happened. Kelthera agreed to pilot. Tae-hyun would lead the boarding team. Da-yun would provide technical support. Minji would handle explosives. 5 other volunteers joined them. Young people mostly. Brave. Ready to die for their home. The cartel fleet arrived in 3 days, right on schedule. Massive ships. Military grade. They positioned themselves in orbit around Frost Haven. Weapons charged. Ready to bombard the planet into glass. Kelthera's ship approached flying council diplomatic flags. The cartel fleet challenged them, demanded to know their business. Kelthera responded with official codes, said she was here to negotiate human surrender, to prevent unnecessary conflict. The cartel commander was suspicious but allowed them to dock with the flagship. Protocol required it. Diplomatic immunity. The ship connected. Airlocks opened. Kelthera walked through first. Behind her, hidden in cargo containers, came Tae-hyun and his team. They moved fast. Daeun hacked into the ship's systems from her tablet. Disabled internal communications. Locked bulkhead doors. Trapped the crew in different sections. Tae-hyun's team spread through the ship with practiced efficiency. Minji went to engineering. She knew ships. Knew systems. She planted charges on the hyperspace drive. Not enough to destroy the ship. Just enough to disable it. Strand the fleet here. Make them unable to leave or call for reinforcements. Tae-hyun went to the bridge. Found the command crew. They were bigger than him. Better armed. But he had surprise. And desperation. And skills learned from years of training and weeks of hunting. The fight was brutal. Quick. 3 crew members died before they could raise the alarm. Taehyun secured the bridge, forced the commander to transmit orders to the rest of the fleet. Stand down. Power down weapons. Wait for further instructions. While the fleet complied, confused by contradictory orders, Da-eun did her real work. She accessed the flagship's databases, downloaded everything. Decades of cartel operations, thousands of crimes, evidence that would destroy them. Then the alarm went off. Someone finally realized what was happening. The ship's security forces mobilized. Dozens of armed soldiers converging on their position. Time to leave, the team ran, fighting through corridors. The volunteers held positions, buying time for the others to reach the airlock. 3 of them died. Young people, barely adults. They sacrificed themselves so the mission could succeed. Taehyun, Da-eun, Minji, and 2 others made it back to Kelthara's ship. The ambassador had the engines ready. They disconnected, pulled away just as Minji triggered the charges. The flagship's hyperspace drive exploded. Not catastrophically. No one else died. But the damage was complete. The ship was dead in space. And since all the fleet's navigation was coordinated through the flagship, they were all stranded. 50 trained soldiers, dozens of support crew, all stuck in orbit around Frost Haven, unable to leave, unable to attack without risking diplomatic incidents. Neutralized. But the real victory came next. Taehyun released all the data she had stolen. Everything, every crime, every victim, every bribe. She broadcast it across the entire galaxy. Billions of beings saw the truth about the Kresh cartel. The reaction was immediate. Protests erupted on multiple worlds. Species that had been victimized came forward. 3 minor civilizations filed formal complaints with the council. Military forces refused to support the cartel. Several Kresh officials were arrested by their own people, horrified by what their species had enabled. The council convened an emergency session. They couldn't ignore this anymore. The evidence was overwhelming. Public pressure demanded action. But as Taehyun and his team returned to Frost Haven, long-range sensors picked up something new. More ships approaching, not cartel vessels. These were from the species that had filed complaints. Coming to stand with humanity, coming to defend Frost Haven. The galaxy was changing. One human's defiance had sparked something larger, a coalition forming, species tired of being prey, ready to fight back. Taehyun stood at the colony gate, watching the allied ships arrive. Minji stood beside him. They had lost friends on the raid, mourned them. But the sacrifice meant something. Change things, we did it, Minji whispered. We really did it. Not yet, Taehyun replied. The cartel fleet was still in orbit, stranded but dangerous. And somewhere deep in the ice, Vrek still lived. His emergency beacon had been broadcasting for days. Someone would eventually answer it. Daeyoon's voice crackled over the radio. Taehyun, you need to hear this. I'm picking up a transmission. From the ice. From Vrek's. Taehyun listened. The alien's voice was weak, dying, but still broadcasting, still sending messages. Not to the cartel this time. To the Kresh Homeworld Defense Fleet, official military forces, calling for war. Calling for revenge against the species that had humiliated them. The Homeworld fleet was responding. Dozens of warships, preparing to launch, not for hunting, for war. They would arrive in a week. And they wouldn't stop until every human on Frost Haven was dead. But Taehyun wasn't afraid. He looked at the allied ships, at his people, at Ambassador Kelthara, who had chosen to stand with them against her own government's orders. At Minji, who had grown from a scared student into a fierce defender of her home. Let them come, he said quietly. We've already shown the galaxy what humans can do. Now it's time to show them what we can do together. The galaxy was watching, waiting, wondering if these fragile creatures could truly stand against military might, wondering if their defiance was courage or foolishness. They would find out soon enough. The war for Frost Haven was about to begin, and humanity would fight, not alone this time, but with allies, with purpose, with the knowledge that sometimes survival meant standing your ground, no matter the odds, because that's what humans did. That's what they had always done. Survive, adapt, fight, never give up, never surrender, never let predators think they could hunt with impunity. 3 fleets arrived at Frost Haven within hours of each other. The allied species came first, Small ships, outdated weapons. But they came. That mattered more than firepower, than the Galactic Council's peacekeeping force official. Reluctant, but present. Finally, the Kresh homeworld defense fleet, massive warships, hundreds of soldiers, ready for war. Tae-hyun watched from the surface as the three groups positioned themselves in orbit. A standoff, each fleet watching the others. Weapons charged, shields up. One wrong move could trigger a war that would spread across the galaxy. But before any shots were fired, Tae-hyun made a decision. He needed to end this, not with more violence, with understanding. He took his survival suit and walked out into the ice fields. Toward the collapsed dome where Vrex lay buried. Minji tried to stop him. Too dangerous. The alien might still be alive, still be dangerous. But Tae-hyun knew this was necessary. The galaxy was watching. Everything was being broadcast. They needed to see this. He dug through the ice. Hours of work. His muscles burned. His hands went numb despite the heated gloves. But he kept digging. Finally, he found Vrex. The alien was in a survival pod, barely functioning. Life support at minimum. The great hunter was dying slowly, painfully. Tae-hyun opened the pod. Vrex's eyes flickered open. Recognition, hatred, fear, all mixed together. The alien tried to speak but could barely breathe. The bacteria had ravaged his system. His body was failing. Why? Vrex managed to whisper. Why not just kill me? Tae-hyun sat beside the dying alien. Because I need you to understand something. You asked me before what makes humans dangerous. I told you we adapt. We persist. We turn everything into a weapon. But that's not the whole truth. He looked up at the sky. At the fleets. At the cameras broadcasting this conversation to billions of beings. What makes us dangerous is that we remember. We remember kindness. We remember cruelty. And we choose which one to show. Every time. Every interaction. That's our real power. The choice, Vrex coughed. Blood on his lips. You chose violence. You killed my hunters. After you killed 824 of my people. After you hunted us for sport. Yes, I chose violence. Because that's what survival demanded. But now I'm choosing something else, Mercy. Because you're going to testify. You're going to tell the council everything. About the hunts. The bribes. All of it, the alien laughed. A wet, painful sound. Why would I do that? I'm dying anyway. Tae-hyun activated the medical equipment he had brought. Not much, but enough. Enough to stabilize Vrex, keep him alive. Because you have a choice too. To hear alone in the ice. Or live, face justice. Maybe earn redemption. Maybe save others of your species from the same fate. Rex stared at him. Confused. Humans didn't show mercy. Prey didn't forgive. That's what he had been taught. That's what he believed. But here was this human. This creature he had hunted. Offering him life. The galaxy watched. Waited. This moment would define everything. Would humanity choose revenge? Or would they choose something better? Vrex closed his eyes. Accepted the treatment. Accepted survival. I will testify. I will tell them everything. Not because you ask it, but because I understand now. My people were wrong. About humans. About strength. About what it means to be a predator. Tae-hyun helped the alien into a stasis pod. Full medical support. He would live. He would face trial. He would help change things. Then Tae-hyun addressed the fleets above. His voice broadcast across all channels. You came here for war. You came for revenge. But that's not what you'll find. Frosthaven is our home. We defended it. We will continue to defend it. But we don't want war. We want justice. We want peace. We want to be left alone to live our lives. If you attack us, we will fight. Every single human here will fight. And we won't be alone. Our allies will fight beside us. The galaxy will see what happens when you try to destroy people just trying to survive. Is that really what you want? The Kresh fleet didn't respond immediately. Their commanders argued. Some wanted revenge. Blood for blood. But others had seen the broadcasts. Had seen what happened to the hunters. Had seen the evidence of the cartel's crimes. They knew the truth. Their people were the villains here, not the humans. Finally, a transmission came. From the Kresh fleet commander. A female, older, wiser than Vrex. She had watched everything. Seen the truth. Her voice was tired, sad. We came for war. But you have shown us mercy when you had every right to show none. That takes a different kind of strength. A better kind. She ordered her fleet to stand down. To return home, some ships refused. Some commanders still wanted revenge, but most obeyed. They turned, left, went back to their homeworld to deal with the corruption that had led to this. To arrest the officials who had enabled the cartel. To change their society. The council fleet transmitted next. An emergency session was being convened. The evidence was overwhelming. The Kresh cartel would be disbanded, its leaders arrested, reparations would be paid, and most importantly, new laws would be passed. The Protection Accords, making sentient hunting illegal, establishing rapid response for threatened colonies. More than that, humanity would be offered a council seat, recognition of their strategic value, their courage, their potential as allies and defenders. Tae-hyun declined personal honors. He wasn't a hero. He was just a man who protected his home, but he accepted resources, help, materials to rebuild Frosthaven, medical supplies, personnel, everything they needed to survive and thrive. The allied species stayed, established embassies, turned Frosthaven from a remote ice world into a symbol, a place where the weak had stood against the strong, where prey had become predators, where justice had prevailed over cruelty. 5 years passed. Frosthaven thrived. The population grew to 12,000. Humans and aliens living together, working together, building something new, something better. Tae-hyun became head of planetary security. He trained the first interspecies defense force, teaching humans and aliens to work together, to protect each other, to understand that strength came in many forms. Da-yun ran the council's threat assessment division. Her skills had proven invaluable. She prevented 3 more hunting operations before they could start, saved thousands of lives across multiple species. Hyunwoo established a university, teaching alien biology and medicine. Cross-species cooperation, understanding. His work helped dozens of species improve their medical technology. Min-ji became chief engineer. She designed the expansion settlements, created systems that could work in any environment. Her innovations spread across the galaxy, helped colonies everywhere survive harsh conditions. Kelthara remained as the Council's liaison to humanity. She became one of humanity's strongest advocates, pushing for more rights, more protections, more integration into galactic society. Every week, Tae-hyun visited the memorial wall, 824 names carved in ice that never melted. A reminder, a promise. He left flowers, traditional Korean custom, something his mother had taught him, something he passed on to the next generation. Min-ji often joined him. She was like a daughter to him now. Officially adopted, family rebuilt from the ashes of tragedy. She asked him once if he thought they had achieved what he set out to do. Tae-hyun thought about it, looked at the thriving colony, at the ships coming and going, at humans and aliens working together, at children playing in the snow. Human children, alien children, all safe, all protected. We sent a message, he said quietly, that humanity won't be prey, that we'll fight to protect our own, that we can be dangerous when we need to be. But more than that, we prove something else, that any species, no matter how small or weak others think they are, deserves respect, deserves protection, deserves a chance to live in peace. That's what they died for. That's what we fight to preserve, not just for humans, for everyone, for every species that might become prey to those who think themselves predators. Min-ji nodded. She understood. The fight wasn't over, would never truly be over, but they had changed things, made the galaxy a little bit safer, a little bit fairer, a little bit better. In orbit, ships continued to arrive. Traders, diplomats, tourists, all coming to see the world where humanity made its stand, where the hunted became hunters, where the weak proved they were strong. The sun set over Frosthaven, not a real sunset. The planet's rotation was too slow for that, but the light changed, softened, made the ice glow gold and pink and purple. Beautiful, peaceful. Tae-hyun stood with Min-ji and watched, thought about Ji-young and Sora, about all the people they had lost, about the price of survival, but also about what they had built, what they had achieved, what they had become. Humanity had proven itself, not through aggression, not through conquest, but through resilience, through adaptation, through the courage to fight when necessary, and the wisdom to show mercy when possible. They had taught the galaxy an important lesson. one that echoed across civilizations, one that would be remembered for generations. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Never underestimate the species that survived by learning to hunt the hunters. Never forget that the greatest strength isn't physical power or technological superiority. It's the will to survive, the refusal to give up, the determination to protect what matters, the choice to be better than those who would harm you. That's what made humanity dangerous. That's what made them valuable. That's what made them worthy of respect.